Well, all this hill climbing is no good for me. Here we are, very much in the town centre. And on the left, there's the old courthouse and administrative offices. Leastways, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. In latter days, it's been a museum. What a lovely building though, isn't it, eh? Now let's just find out. I could be very wrong, but there is a plaque here, and that would tell us, yes. Winchelsea Court Hall. The foundations of which date right back to the building of New Winchelsea, and there is probably the most famous building in the town, the New Inn, and of course the coat of arms. Incorporating, as you can see, the boats at the back, signifying the Cinque Ports. There we are, Winchelsea. Now let's take a walk a little bit further. It's so rich in history here. Probably a very, excuse me, makes it a very unique place. Shame there's so many cars around that you can't get uninterrupted views of things, but there is a curious mixture here of the really ancient and obviously modern, but they seem to happily coexist alongside each other. There's a rather old barn there. I just want to bring you down to this bit here. Now, let's just lift this up so I can see what I'm doing. Let me get out of the... There. Now you can see just how wide the Breeds Valley was in those days. We pan round and have a better look, and there, that is the beacon. That was, it started up as a Millennium Beacon, but they light it for any celebration. That stands where there was an ancient church, and then a windmill. And the windmill was blown down in the great windstorm of 1987. And what a lovely view that would have been from the mill. Well, back on the road again. There's some more ruins, and I believe that it was the excavation around this area where they actually found the entrances to the cellars and discovered the big vaults and catacombs underneath the city town. I don't know what to call it, city. Underneath the town where it held all that wine. And here's another historic building. They call it John Wesley's Chapel. Winchelsea was one of the last places where John Wesley preached before his death. John Wesley's Chapel, there we are. I don't know quite what this would have been. Although I would assume possibly a barn or something. Let's have a look. There's a it doesn't give you any information. You could imagine if they hadn't built this. It's called a bypass, but I think basically what they did was just widen an old track, an old farm track. But you imagine what it'd be like with everything trying to go in and out the Strand Gate in these days. Right. I have to say that the people that live here are obviously very proud of their, and I will call it a town, even though it's only a charitable status now, but everything is always kept nice and neat, tidy. You just feel as though you're walking back in time. Now let's just go and stand on the corner here, looking at this row of houses that dates back to the 1950s, so fairly recent, but it's this gate here on the side that I want to draw your attention to, because that has been retained. You'll notice the very elegant design the gate. Now that is from older building, and the same there. That, as I understand it, is the old Trojans Gate to an old hall that stood there, which I think was called Trojan Hall or Jews Hall. Just goes to show how wrong you can be. They did look a bit modern, to be honest. May I be allowed to correct myself and say here is the original preserved gate, portal and wall to the old Trojan Hall, the Jews Hall. With sincerest apologies for my error. It's been years since I've been here. And although obviously I would do commentaries on my coach tours that I brought around here many years ago, you do forget things after a while, and shapes familiar, but as somebody always said to me, everybody makes mistakes. It's how you put them right is what people will tend to judge you by. Here we are. We'll come round the back here. Let's just have a little look. This is the Church of St Thomas and the Martyr. What's left of it, as you can see there. Even though it was supposedly quite well defended and was high up on the cliffs, it didn't stop the French and the Spanish from making raids in the 15th centuries, even earlier than that. Look at this. Look at this. This ancient tree. Beautiful specimen. Been here for years, obviously. Let's have a look. This is handy when they put plaques down here. Although this is not as old as you would think, strangely enough. You would think it was years and years old. Well, I suppose it is now, 1953, 60 odd years old. But it's got a lot of growing to do yet. A lovely view of the church in the sunlight there. It's unusual bit of design over on the right. Mixed smells of sweet blossom. That's all I can describe it as. You can see more of where the French did their damage. French and the Spaniards. Magnificent designs in the windows though. You look at that stained glass. What must it be like from inside? Now then, I don't know whether this will come out at all clearly, but there is a map here and people are starting to go out and about where you can see very, very clearly the grid system. And I'm not sure, but the thought just occurs to me that that ruin we saw on the other side of the bypass (6 o'clock) and all is well. I think that ruin on the other side of the bypass might have been the old St Giles Church. St Giles Church. Oh, unusual clock they have here. Yeah. Early morning. Well, we're going to go and take a look closer inside the churchyard in a moment. But there is one thing I want to show you before we get there, and that is this tree here. Standing underneath this magnificent tree. This one has been around a long time, because this is where John Wesley preached his last open air sermon. 7th of October 1790, as you will see from this plaque here. So now we'll go and have a excuse me. Actually go and have a look inside the churchyard. And then I think that actually will be the tour of Winchelsea complete. Or as much of the real history of it that I can show you without disturbing too many people. Thankfully, people can still visit the churchyard and they can still visit graves. A real variety of graves here, 1906, but on this side 1800s. Wow, quite a wide variety. There again you can see some of the damage done in the raids on the church, and where they've had to brick up arches and windows. I wonder. I said this was a personal pilgrimage, and this is the grave that I have come to see my hero, mentor, comic genius. Such a shame that in his last years and after his death, so much bitterness amongst the family, but I'm glad to see that that was all put to one side, and very humble surroundings for such a great comedian. I've been wanting to come and see this grave for years. So I've actually written something for him, so we will end as I read it. So we meet at last, my good fellow. Good to see you now safely at rest. With Eccles, Moriarty and others that only you could do best. You have no idea of your influence on spotty young Herberts like me. But I'm still walking backwards for Christmas, and that's plenty good enough for me. So Spike, Shrev Ness, which is the best Gaelic I can say. Rest in peace, Spike Milligan.